Welcome into the Hudson Sports Zone on Tuesday, September 21st. I'm Jerry Hudson, coming at you from sunny Las Vegas. On today's show, I will wrap up week 2 in the NFL. Let's get started. First of all, I went 8-8 against the spread last week and 2-3 in my top 5 picks. Let's go back to the 8-8 real quick. Went 7-3 in the first 10 games. And then the 1 o'clock window hit here on the West Coast, and I proceeded to lose 5 straight against the spread. Ooh, it was painful. A lot of close ones. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers brought me back to 500 for the week with an 8-8 record. Once again, all my picks will always be for informational and educational purposes only. All right, let's get to the games. The Las Vegas Raiders versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, I overreacted on this one. Pittsburgh looked great in the second half of week 1, and I thought they were going to continue that into week 2. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, did Ben Roethlisberger look old. Tell you what, Tom Brady looks great at 44, and Ben looks like he's playing at 64. Pittsburgh's got a long way to go, sitting at 1-1 in the season, and in that division, it's going to be tough for them. The Las Vegas Raiders. Are you kidding me? 2-0? Old Chucky, Gruden and the boys, Derek Carr, 2-0. Derek Carr, passing leader in the NFL. All types of I had no ideas. And with Josh Jacobs, their leading running back, out for the week, Las Vegas Raiders, the class of the NFL right now, at 2-0. Are they the best team? Hell no. But it's going to be really interesting, and I think they're going to be really competitive against the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Broncos in their division. Which leads me into the Denver Broncos versus the Jaguars. This was an easy cover for me. I had Denver laying the 6. Steady Teddy and a smothering D against the Jags that are clearly overmatched. Urban, clearly overmatched coaching-wise and roster-wise. This was an easy cover. Let's slide over to Buffalo versus Miami. This was another win for me. Both teams right now are sitting at 1-1. And the easy part was the Bills. We knew they were going to bounce back. Did I think it was going to be 35-0? No. But we knew the Bills in week 1 weren't as bad as they looked. And they were back to dominating. And with Tua out, definitely shows that Brian Flores has plenty of work to do. Let's go over to another win. Like I said, I was hot early. Houston versus Cleveland. I had Houston getting the 12.5 points. I told you guys in my preview of week 2 that it just wasn't in me to bet on Cleveland to cover 12.5. It was just too many points. The better team did win. Baker was lucky that that shoulder popped right back in, or he'd probably be out 6 to 8 weeks. Let's see if he can deal with the soreness and continue to play. But I did know that 12.5 points were too many to cover here. Houston played hard, but obviously they were outclassed. Cincinnati and Chicago. This was a loss. I lost this one by the hook. Burrow and Mixon were just not good enough. I predicted that Joe Square, the Joe and Joe team, were going to be enough to beat Chicago outright, and I was wrong. The Bears D played much better in week 2 than week 1, and now it's Justin Fields' time. I know they're saying that Andy Dalton is still the starter if healthy, but you got to keep Justin on the field. You got to let him learn from his mistakes and see if Chicago could be a playoff team. Let's slide over to San Francisco and Philadelphia. This was a win for me. This was a solid cover for me on the road, with San Francisco staying in West Virginia between their East Coast football games in week 1 and week 2. Jimmy was just good enough to eke out a win. Ertz was not good enough today. Ertz showed that he just is not battle-tested enough yet, and the Eagles are a middle-of-the-road team. So for people like Skip Bayless, who were thinking that after week 1 that Ertz was going to take Philadelphia to compete with Dallas for the division, slow down, cowboy. You still got to deal with the Washington football team, and the Eagles came back down to earth. The New Orleans Saints versus the Carolina Panthers. This was an easy cover at home for me, a big win. I had Carolina winning this outright, even though they were catching 3.5 points. Sam Darnold sure does look good, doesn't he, folks? Yes, and that old Colin Cowherd has said for years that Darnold, all he needed was some pieces around him. I've agreed. And now Darnold looks like he's in total command of the offense. We figured Jameis wasn't going to have back-to-back great games, and he did not. He was back to the Jameis we knew before. Not 4 or 5 interception in a game, Jameis, but back to not being as efficient and making mistakes in big situations. Let's slide over to the LA Rams and the Indianapolis Colts. Lost this one by the hook. The punt snap hits the personal protector in the hip. I hope that guy still is getting a paycheck this week, but he probably doesn't deserve it. Come on, man. If you're going to move over from the right side to the left side as a personal protector, you at least got to get out of the ball's way to get back to the punter. That was pretty crazy. But McVay is still undefeated. And with a lead at half, he's never lost. So always bet on the Rams if you think it's going to be a close game. If you think the Rams are going to lead in halftime, because McVay just does not lose those games. Stafford didn't look as good as week 1, but still quality. And, of course, come on, the Rams got a stout defense. Let's go to the AFC East. The New England Patriots versus the New York Jets. Jets were catching 6. I had New England. This, of course, was an easy cover for me. Mr. Zach Wilson thought it was a good idea just to throw the ball up whenever he wanted, whether he had a wide receiver in the area or not. 4 picks. I called this. I said in the preview that there's no way Zach Wilson could beat a Bill Belichick Coach D. Mac was much more consistent than Zach. Belichick proved that he could confuse the young quarterback, and the young quarterback really needs to understand that you can't win the game on one play, but you can lose the game on one play. And he decided to lose the game on 4 different plays with 4 crucial, very bad interceptions. And to my buddy who I met at a bar last week, who told me he thought the Jets would and win outright, here's to you. At least I don't have to listen to you to come in and see you at the same bar this Friday for you to tell me that you were right, because I told you were crazy. Minnesota and Arizona. This was a loss for me. Man, oh man. If you're a Minnesota Viking, how the heck do you look at the kicker in the face knowing he missed that kick wide right? Just pushed it. You can't miss it. It was a loss for me either way because I had Arizona laying to 3.5. So Minnesota either won outright or Arizona won by 1. Whoever thought that the Arizona Cardinals would be 2-0 to start out this year and right now sitting atop the division with some others, they are for real. I don't know how they're going to end up, but right now I wouldn't want to play Arizona. Atlanta versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay was favored by 12.5. This was a loss for me. I thought TB12 would be way too much for the Falcons, but I thought the Falcons would backdoor cover this game. Thought Matty Ice in the fourth quarter would score a couple garbage touchdowns once Tampa had it out of reach, and I was wrong. It was close going into the fourth quarter, and then Matty Ice decided to turn into turnover ice, and then Tom Brady and the Buccaneers offense just took over. Too much, too late. Easy cover for the Bucs. And then we go to Dallas and the Los Angeles Chargers. Essentially a Dallas home game in LA. A 56-yard field goal for the win after questionable play clock decisions by McCarthy and the offensive coordinator. Dallas did everything they could to play ugly and to lose this game. Fortunately for them and all those Dallas Cowboy fans, the Los Angeles Chargers fought harder to lose the game than Dallas did. Dak was not impressive at all, wasn't flashy at all, didn't even have a touchdown pass. Dak was Dak. He was just a good quarterback in the NFL, not making mistakes. And because he didn't make big mistakes and Justin Herbert did, well, Dallas eked one out with a 56-yard field goal. For those of you that are thinking Dallas is the real deal and they're great and they're a great team, pump the brakes, folks. Pump the brakes. They're still a mediocre team. They've got a lot of flash on offense, but not when they're playing against a good team. Then we go to the Tennessee Titans and the Seattle Seahawks. This one hurt me. I thought this one was lock, stock, and barrel, especially at halftime. This was a loss for me, of course. I had Seattle minus 6.5, and at halftime, I was dancing a jig. Little did I know that direct opposite from week 1, where they had Derrick Henry on the bench most of the game. In this game, even down, down by multiple scores, that they were going to run King Henry, and King Henry was going to run absolutely wild. Reminds me of a Scorpion song, Bad Boys Running Wild. This was King Henry running wild. He totally ran over Seattle in the second half, and Seattle only scored 6 points. Come on, Russell. Russell in the offense, you guys need to be better. Let's go to the Sunday night game. Another loss for me. Do you see a trend here? Yep, this would be 5 straight losses in a row. Thank goodness I ended up on a winning note, but let's stay focused here on the Sunday nighter. The Kansas City Chiefs visiting the Baltimore Ravens. I had Kansas City covering the 3.5, and Kansas City got Mahomes. Baltimore Mahomes'd them. What I mean by that is Mahomes was on the sideline way too much. Lamar Jackson, and the Baltimore Ravens controlled the clock, controlled the game. Lamar was definitely the best player on the field. And for all those doubters out there that think that Lamar is not a quarterback that can get the job done, come from behind, you are wrong. You want that ball in his hands at any time and at the end of the game. Yeah, he fumbled at the end of week 1. That happens. He didn't fumble at the end of week 2, and they win and probably beat the best team in the league. Let's go to the Monday nighter. Those Detroit Lions, the Patsies, going in to make Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers feel better about themselves. I won this game. I had Green Bay minus the 11. Goff looked solid early. I have to admit, he looked good early, but then he turned into the normal Jared Goff, which is why he's with the Lions now and not with the Rams, because he turned into a turnover machine late. For those of you that think that the Packers are a great team again and that Aaron Rodgers is back, ease the brakes, pump the brakes, take a deep breath. Let's not overreact. They were horrible week 1. They looked great week 2. No, they were playing the Lions. Let's not overreact here. We'll know who Green Bay really is after the first 5 or 6 weeks. We'll be able to put a read on there. So in summary, I went 8 for 8 against the spread, 2 for 3 against my top 5 picks. And what a crazy, crazy week 2 in the NFL with 4 starting quarterbacks out, including Fitzy from the Washington football team, who was out before the week 2 started. That's 5 starting quarterbacks out. Wow. It's going to be an interesting week 3. We look forward to coming at you this Friday or Saturday with our preview for week 3. And then, of course, we will have our week 3 recap next Tuesday after the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys play to see who may be the best team in the NFC East. This is Jerry Hudson with the Hudson Sports Zone. You guys be good out there. Have a great week. Take care.